The surroundings or conditions that affect the life, development, and survival of a living organism is called environment. The Chipko movement was a conservation movement in India. Forest. Particulate matter, 2.5, refers to tiny particles or droplets in the air with a diameter of 2.5 or less. Micrometers. The Wildlife Protection Act of India was enacted in which year? (1972). Who discovered the ozone layer in 1913? Both A and B. The process by which a water body becomes gradually enriched with excess minerals and nutrients is called eutrophication. Which of the following is a natural source of sulfur dioxide, SO2, in the atmosphere? Volcano. Which one of the below is observed on March 21st every year since 2013? International Day of Forests. In which year was the first World Environment Day celebrated? (1974). Which was the theme of the first World Environment Day? Only One Earth. A biological community of organisms and the physical environment with which they interact is called ecosystem. Which process in the carbon cycle converts carbon dioxide into organic compounds? Photosynthesis. What is the process called when gases in Earth's atmosphere trap heat from the sun? Greenhouse effect. Who founded the Greenbelt movement in 1977? Wangari Maathai. Which is not considered one of the 4 major diseases caused by pollution in Japan? Kawasaki disease. A graphical representation of the relationship between the different living organisms at each trophic level in a given ecosystem is called ecological pyramid. A partially enclosed coastal body of water formed where fresh water from the land meets with salt water from the ocean is called estuary. The Kyoto Protocol is an international environmental treaty to reduce which one of the below? Greenhouse gas emissions. Any substance that causes cancer is known as carcinogen. Which was the first biosphere reserve in India? Nilgiri Biosphere Reserve. the protective blanket of gases that surrounds the Earth is called? Atmosphere. An air pollutant emitted from a source directly into the atmosphere is called? Primary pollutant. What is the term for species that are introduced to a new habitat and cause harm to native species? Invasive species. Eutrophication in freshwater bodies is most directly caused by an excess of which nutrients? Nitrogen and phosphorus. What term describes a species that plays a critical role in maintaining the structure of an ecosystem? Keystone species. Which one of the below is not a greenhouse gas? Nitrogen? Which layer of the atmosphere contains most of Earth's clouds and where weather occurs? Troposphere. Which one of the below diseases is caused by severe mercury poisoning? Minamata disease. Ecological pyramids always begin with which one of the following at the bottom? Producers. Which is a secondary pollutant present in photochemical smog? Peroxyacyl nitrate. Which one of the below is a set of standards related to environmental management systems in organizations? ISO 14000. Who is the author of the book The End of Nature, published in 1989? Bill McKibben. All the plants present in a particular region or time period is called? Flora. Who became the first executive director of the United Nations Environment Program? Maurice Strong. Which process involves planting trees to restore a degraded ecosystem? Reforestation. Which biome is characterized by low temperatures, low precipitation, and permafrost? Tundra. What type of pollutant is light pollution? Physical. When is World Environment Day observed every year? June 5th. Which layer of the atmosphere contains the ozone layer? Stratosphere. The ozone layer in the Earth's atmosphere absorbs which radiation from the sun? Ultraviolet. The Montreal Protocol is an international treaty adopted in 1987 to protect which one of the below? Ozone layer. Which one of the below is not a man-made ecosystem? Pond. The statistical study of human populations is called? Demography. Which one of the below is a non-renewable resource? Nuclear energy. Which of the following is a major greenhouse gas? Carbon dioxide. Which is the most abundant gas in Earth's atmosphere? Nitrogen. The process by which human activities and climatic variations reduce the biological productivity of drylands is called? Desertification. Acid rain is primarily caused by emissions of sulfur dioxide and which other pollutant? Nitrogen oxides. What form of pollution is characterized by suspended particles in the air that can harm human health? Air pollution. Which chemical is a common ozone-depleting substance regulated by the Montreal Protocol? Chlorofluorocarbons. Which energy source produces the least greenhouse gas emissions per unit of electricity generated? Nuclear. What is the main form of nitrogen that plants can directly absorb from the soil? Nitrate. The Cartagena Protocol on Biosafety came into force in which year? 2003. When is Earth Day observed every year? April 22nd. Which is the main cause of acid rain? Air pollution. Which is the most potent greenhouse gas? Sulfur hexafluoride. The first World Environment Day was celebrated in which year? 1974. The word environment is derived from the French word environner, which means? To encircle. Which is the major cause of global warming? Burning fossil fuels. Which was the theme of the first World Environment Day held in 1974? Only one Earth. Which one of the below is not in the 3 R's to save the environment? Resource. Where is the headquarters of the United Nations Environment Program, UNEP? Nairobi. Which of the following is a renewable energy source? Solar power. What is the biggest reservoir of fresh water on Earth? Glaciers and ice caps. What measurement describes the average number of children a woman is expected to have during her lifetime? Fertility rate. What is the primary cause of coral bleaching? Rising sea temperatures. All the animals present in a particular region or time period is called? Fauna. A species that is considered at risk of extinction is called? Endangered species. Out of the 36 biodiversity hotspots in the world, how many are present in India? 4. The study of relations and interactions between living organisms and their physical environment is called? Ecology. Which one of the below is a natural way of nitrogen fixation? Lightning. Which of these is considered a major cause of ocean pollution? All of the above? Who is the author of the environmental science book Silent Spring? Rachel Carson. The natural environment where an animal or plant usually lives is called? Habitat. Which renewable energy source relies on the Earth's internal heat? Geothermal. Which renewable fuel is produced from crops like corn or sugarcane? Ethanol. Which heavy metal pollutant is notorious for causing neurological damage in children? Lead. The process of planting trees in an area devoid of trees in order to create a forest is called? Afforestation. A place where groundwater flows naturally to the Earth's surface is called? Spring. Who coined the term biodiversity hotspot? Norman Myers. Who coined the term ecology? Ernst Haeckel? A permit that gives the holder the right to emit a set amount of carbon dioxide or other greenhouse gases is called? Carbon credit? The Ramsar Convention is an international treaty for the conservation of which one of the below? Wetland? Which is the primary component of natural gas? Methane. Which one of the below is observed on July 11th every year? World Population Day. Who popularized the term global warming? Wallace Smith Broecker? Which is the rigid outermost shell of Earth, consisting of the crust and the portion of the upper mantle. Lithosphere. Which is the main cause of deforestation? All of the above. Which of these is not a biotic component of an ecosystem? Soil. Which practice involves using living plants to remove pollutants from soil or water? Phytoremediation. Which renewable resource is derived from organic material, such as plant waste and animal manure? Biomass. The global sum of all ecosystems is called? Biosphere. Who is the author of the book The Population Bomb, published in 1968? Paul R. Ehrlich. Where is the headquarters of the International Union for Conservation of Nature? Gland, Switzerland. Which one of the below is not a fossil fuel? Biogas. Which one of the below is celebrated each year on March 3rd? World Wildlife Day. Which ecological pyramid is always upright? Pyramid of energy. Which organization is primarily responsible for coordinating World Environment Day? UNEP. What type of organism is responsible for primary production in most aquatic food webs? Phytoplankton. Who among the below was the first recipient of the Blue Planet Prize? Shukuro Manabe. The Environment Protection Act of India was enacted in which year? (1986). The Billion Tree Tsunami Project was launched in 2014. By which country? Pakistan. The illegal hunting or capturing of wild animals is called? Poaching. Which international agreement aims to limit global temperature rise to below 2 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels? Paris Agreement. What term describes the maximum population size of a species that an environment can sustain indefinitely? Carrying capacity. Which process describes the movement of water from plants to the atmosphere? Transpiration. Which layer of the soil profile is primarily mineral material with little organic matter? Subsoil. Which is the most abundant greenhouse gas in Earth's atmosphere by volume? Water vapor. How does using less plastic help the environment? It reduces pollution. Why is it important to reduce, reuse, and recycle? Because it saves the environment.